go. Money Talk.
Hello and welcome to the Financial Fitness Bunny Podcast, your number one stop shop to all things money management. My name is Nicolette Mashile. I am your host and also known as the Financial Bunny, and I'm here to put lipstick on that money pig. I'm gonna start off by apologizing. This podcast is late. We have not had a podcast episode in the last 2 weeks. We did need to take a break. Things were moving so quickly, but we're back. We're ready, and the book that we're reading this week is called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And I must apologize. I have not read the full book. I literally read the first chapter. Guys, I read the first chapter and I was like blown. He wrote this book, I think 10 years ago. So the one that I'm reading is the 10th anniversary publication of the book. And basically he says, if you know anything about life, you know that everything compounds. And I had to stop and actually understand, what does he mean by that? And I realized that if you think about that book and you think about Atomic Habits, there is a correlation between those two books. Basically what this book says is, you wake up every single day, you've got the same routine, you're consistent, you put in the work, you're going to get the results. Doesn't matter what anybody says. If you do the right thing and you do it consistently, it will give you results. And I see it even with my life right now. So you guys know that I left television. And when I left television, I was very heartbroken because TV, in fact, not just TV. I think any type of communications work is at close to my heart, right? So when I had to leave TV, I was very, very heartbroken. But I had done YouTube for so long that the phone calls and the opportunities that were being presented to me, people kept saying, we've seen your work, we've seen you, Nicolette. And I'm like, where did you see me? They're like, come on, Nicolette, you've got over 400 videos on YouTube. So we know what you are capable of. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is the 10,000 hours that they speak about. What is that book where they speak about the 10,000 hours? It just went out of my head. But I'm sure many of you guys are very well aware and you know which book I'm talking about. But it's basically the consistency of just pushing out work. There was actually a very great example that Professor Singh. So Professor Singh is a social and digital media specialist. And he was speaking at an event where I was actually the MC. And he was speaking about, the power of digital. And he was talking about the future of where digital is going to take us. And he was talking about, in every industry, there's going to be some level of digital disruption. For some industries, it's going to take long. But look at the meter taxi. I mean, we know Uber is not a company. Uber is a platform. Literally, they disrupted the entire meter taxi industry. You look at, for instance, on-demand content, streaming platforms. You remember that company or that shop, movie, Blockbuster? They got disrupted. So each industry is going to get disrupted. If you look at the financial space right now, it's fully being disrupted by fintech companies. The guys like from Pineapple are making it so easy for you to just simply get insurance in the palm of your hands using your smartphone. There's no need for you to call an insurance broker anymore, fill in forms. You can literally scan your face and they will connect you to Home Affairs. That's what AI is able to do. That's what digital is able to do. So he makes this example and he paints a beautiful picture for me, where he says the intensity and the the rate at which the digital disruption may happen in your industry is like pushing a boulder up a hill. You keep pushing, you keep pushing, you keep pushing. Eventually you get to the peak. When you get to the peak and you drop that boulder, that's the compounding effect. It will move at a speed of light. But he uses such a great example in his book, Darren Hardy. He uses an example of, if he was to give you 5 million today, if he gives you 5 million today, and I'm going to very simplify it and localize the South African currency, right? Because obviously he uses the dollar as the currency in the book. But if he gave to give you 5 million today versus somebody that get given 1 rand today, but that 1 rand doubles each day for 30 days, which option would you choose? Think about it. I can give you 5 million today, or I can give you 1 rand that doubles every day. Now, if you think about it, by day 10, the person who's been given 1 rand only has 512. But they need to stay consistent in doubling that money, or staying consistent in the belief that that money is going to double every single day. But if they look next door and they see Tabo's got 5 million. Tabo's buying nice things with their 5 million. They're going to start panicking. So they might actually leave and say, I can't do this anymore and give up. Or they can hold on and stay consistent. Because by day 24, you're sitting at 8 million rand. By day 30, you've got 500 million plus. That is the effect of compounding. The more time you give it, the quicker it happens. It is absolutely fantastic. I actually cannot wait to keep reading this book because for me, it was just something that I was like, wow, this is going to be such a great read because it's not just a financial book. It also speaks about everyday parts of our lives. If you are consistent in being spiritual, you will have such a great spiritual journey. If you're consistent in the gym, let's be fair, when you go to the gym, the first 30 days, you might not even see results. But if you keep at it and you stick to it, when it starts to compound, it is absolutely fantastic. But you know what? I want to leave it there and get into today's episode of Yes, Money Does Matter. And today I want to talk a little bit about investments, but I want to take a different skew to investing. In actual fact, I was invited to an event called Brunch with Norma. And at Brunch with Norma, I was asked, the theme of the brunch was Be Unstoppable. And when she gave me the brief, she said, Nicolette, I want you to come and speak about how young people can be unstoppable by investing and taking care of their money. So I want you to come and tell us, where should young people be investing? Now, if you know me, I am a big proponent of financial education. You know that I can speak on different asset classes. I might not have, the full expertise of those who work in those spaces. People who work in the financial markets will have a far better offering in terms of telling people where to invest. But I thought about it and I thought, what leads to investing? What actually allows a person to invest? And why have other people not invested? And I thought about it and I was like, there are various aspects of our own lives that we need to first invest in before we can even sit with a financial planner, a wealth expert, or a financial markets expert for them to tell us where to invest. One of the biggest things that we need to invest in is our money psychology. I started off by saying, invest in letting go. Too many of us are pulling financial shame with us. We're dragging financial guilt. We're dragging it. Somebody comes to you and says, Nkateko, borrow me 5,000. And you say, I don't have. No, I can't. And they get upset. And you feel guilty. But you have to stop and ask yourself the question, if a person does not allow you to say no, were they really asking or were they giving you an instruction? Because when a person comes and asks and you say no, they should be able to accept your no. Financial shame. Too many of us are so ashamed that we make financial decisions based on the shame, or we suffer in silence. So investing in letting go, because remember, if you are in a space where you are shamed or you are feeling guilty, there's no way you're making good financial decisions. There's no way. It means that you are allowing emotions to run with your finances. But here's the thing about emotions. And I heard this from a lady, she calls herself the woke social worker. I want you guys to please go follow her on social media because that lady is powerful. And she was speaking about using your emotions as ammunition. Being able to tap into the value that is triggering the emotion. So, funny enough, at the end of the talk, a couple of people who watch my YouTube videos came to me and said, hey, Nicolette, I watch your YouTube videos. In fact, my favorite YouTube videos are the ones where you rant. And I was thinking about it and I was like, why am I actually getting so emotional in those videos? And then I thought, okay, let me apply what Noktula said. Noktula is a social worker, the woke social worker on social media. Noktula said, she actually gave us a very good example. She said there was a lady who had a daughter. And she was sitting with her daughter and something happened and they got into an argument. And her daughter called her the B word. called her the B word, straight to her mom. And she says that the lady was holding a wine bottle. She broke that wine bottle and she started chasing her daughter around the house. Luckily, was not fatal, right? Not fatal. But apparently, this lady could not even remember that entire incident. Now, the question you have to ask is, how did she move from 0 to 100 that quickly? What is the emotion that she felt? And what value of hers does that does what the incident actually attack for her to have that type of emotional reaction? And I was thinking about my own times when I rant and rave. I remember the guy who called me a TV poppy. I remember the lady who wanted to rent out my home after I had paid for it. I remember when my own estate was charging us unnecessary levies, and then when I told them, they made it sound like I couldn't afford. My biggest value that I hold is I don't want to be undermined. I don't want to be undermined. I don't want to be made to feel like I don't know what's happening. When I'm in the know, don't make me feel stupid. And it comes from a complex. It comes from a trauma. So remember, I went to Rhodes University, and basically for me, it feels like because I didn't pass my degree there, I've built this complex where I almost respond emotionally every single time where I feel like my education is being questioned. So I don't like to be undermined. I don't like to be made like I don't know certain things, especially when I do know them. I'm a student. I'm a lifetime student. I've got a very big student mentality, but I don't enjoy it when people try to catch me out because they think I don't know something. And I go immediately to anger. And that is like the value that people are attacking for me is the fact that I know certain things, you know? So it's always those things. I don't want to be undermined. I want to be respected. I think it's a respect issue. So it was quite interesting because for me, it goes back even to your finances to say, when one of your values is being attacked, how do you respond? It goes back to when we talk about ego and some of the decisions that your ego drives within your finances. The car that you drive, sometimes you have to ask yourself, is it a car? Am I driving this car because it's the car that I can afford? Or am I driving this car because there's a part of me that I need the car to speak on? Does it speak for me? So when I arrive in this specific car, does it speak for me as a person? That is, affirm me as a person, right? Then I think we need to invest in letting go of being guilted into making certain financial decisions. I always say we try to be Olivia Pope and want to be the fixer of everything, but not everything needs a financial response. And I'll give you another example. So when I was 8, my sister was 10, we moved to Nelspruit Primary. Now, at Nelspruit Primary, there's a thing called interhouse, right? And I think most primary schools have it. They do interhouse and the kids run against each other in the school and then they pick the school's athletics team, right? Now, as they're picking the school's athletics team, it means that we do need to have a day where we're going to all compete against each other. But now there is a house uniform that we're all meant to wear. So we get put into these different homes. I say homes, which is houses. It's like Solomon, it was Hall, it was Fitzpatrick, and I can't remember the last house. So I happened to be put into the Hall house and we had to wear a blue uniform. Now the uniform obviously has your house name on it. Went back home, explained to my dad that we needed to get uniform, and my dad said he's not going to pay for that. He can't afford it. He's not going to pay for that. His job is to pay for our school fees and make sure that we go to school. He said you can tuck in your tunic into your panties and you can go and run the next day. So the next day we go to school. It is the interhouse. We need to run now, and we are lined up as under 9s. I was running under 9. We're lined up in our respective age groups and we're taken to the 100-meter line where we're going to start running. Now obviously, because there's many of us, they're doing heats, right? So as they're doing the heats, I see the heats are getting finished, but nobody is calling me to come and run. And then the last heat happens, and then we all escorted back to our houses. And I was very sad because I knew I could have been an athlete. And then eventually in my broken English, I try to figure out why I did not run. The teacher says to me, because you don't have the right uniform on. So essentially, they denied me the ability to run because I was not in the right uniform. And if I had to take position, they would not be able to know and allocate me to the right house. It was so heartbreaking for me. And for years, I've had to work through that trauma of being denied certain things. And I'll tell you an example of how it manifested in my finances. That belt story where I went into Luminance and I had to buy a dress, and then I picked a belt, and when I got to the till, they told me the belt was 3,000. I should have walked away from that belt, but I bought it because I did not want to be denied. I carried financial shame of not accessing certain things. But now I'm making financial decisions on the back of that. My financial decisions are made on the back of, I don't want to be disrespected. I don't want to be denied certain things. So I keep making these financial decisions on the back of that. It is important to be able to identify those things, because it does not matter how much great financial planning a financial planner can put in front of you. But if you continue to make financial decisions based on that, you will take up the financial planning and then you will go back and take that money out, because now you must go buy the car that is going to talk for you. The car that is going to make sure that people do not disrespect you. It's supposed to be a long-term financial plan. But because you don't want to be disrespected in this day and age, you are going to go withdraw that money from that investment and go buy the car that you actually cannot afford because you don't want to be disrespected. It's important to invest in your money psychology. It's important to make sure that you go and speak to somebody and you invest in your emotional intelligence so that you don't make financial decisions on the back of those traumas. It's also important to let go of some of those trauma responses, because those traumatic events have now passed. But for you to let go, you need to work through them. You need to work through them. Here's another thing that we do in South Africa. We love to push this boss babe narrative. And it's good to be a boss babe. But is it a look or is it a feeling? Are you a boss babe because you drive a Range Rover? Are you a boss babe because you live at the right postal code? Are you a boss babe because when you arrive, you're in Gucci shoes, Gucci belt, Gucci shirt, Gucci this, Gucci that, Louis Vuitton this, Prada this? Is that what makes you a boss babe? Or is because you've got your things in control? Your finances are in control. Your relationships are in control. Your social life is in control. Is that not the reason that makes you a boss babe? Or are you a boss babe because you look like a rich auntie? Because you will keep fueling the look of a rich auntie, but your life insurance is suffering. Your retirement annuity, when your financial planner says to you,
you need to add an additional 1,000 rand.
You are thinking about the Prada shoe you cannot buy anymore, because that 1,000 rand that goes into your retirement means that you've got to take it out of the budget to buy the Prada shirt. So you've got to ask yourself these things, and it's important to not be flip-floppy with your values, because if you're flip-floppy with your values, it will be difficult for you to attach the emotional response that you give when that value is either being compromised, attacked, or exploited. Because you're flip-floppy, you may not be able to make the connection. This weekend was a breakthrough for me. It was a huge breakthrough, because to be fair, as financially educated as I may think I am, my emotions are still holding me back. My emotions are still holding me back. I see it. I will sit with a group of people, and then because I don't want to be shamed, when the bill comes and people are starting to be finicky about it, I'll be like, it's fine, guys, I'll take the bill. Why? Because I don't want shame. I don't want people coming there and saying, Nicolette and her friends can't afford. So what do? I make a financial decision to pay, even when it's not my responsibility to pay. Even when it's not my responsibility to pay. At home, when your parents need something, because you don't want to feel like you can't make provision for them, you end up overextending yourself. What is the value? What is that one value that you feel like is being attacked, exploited, or confronted that makes you have a certain response? investing in education. Because when you are not educated, you will make financial decisions that in the long run are going to impact your ability to build wealth. Remember the story about the lady who had negotiated to pay less on her installments? But in essence, she was paying less than the interest that was being charged. That's credit education. Which means for months, she may be paying and that money is going nowhere. She may even need to compromise on the amount of money that she is channeling to risk management, life insurance, car insurance, because she's trying to manage the debt. But because the credit education is missing in between, she's doing absolutely nothing. If something is to happen to her now and she has compromised her life insurance, that also goes to the dogs. But this time she's done nothing on this side of the credit. Credit education is something we've got to invest in. Financial education is something you've got to invest in because it's important. Because without it, you don't have the funds to able to put in the different asset class that you want to put in. Investing in small habits, investing in compounding habits, investing in atomic habits. Going back to the book we're reading this week, investing in doing a budget every single month. If you do it for 6 months and you track where your money is going, you have a better understanding of your finances. You may just find where you are wasting money, and that money could have been money that you have now channeled into buying equity every single month. It could be money you have channeled into buying those bonds. But if you don't do the small habits, the consistent budgeting, you might not be able to track where you are actually having wastage. Investing in financial confidence. Let's talk about what financial confidence is. Financial confidence is understanding that money is simply a tool that can be used to make more money. If you are not confident in the financial decisions that you make, if you are not confident in the financial decisions that you make, it means that you are not confident in the financial plan that is put in front of you. It means you are not even sure of the financial plan that you've got. Financial confidence is understanding economic factors. What do a majority of us do when we wake up in the morning? We wake up, we check the weather, and that's how we dress. Right now, what is the weather? Interest rate hikes, inflation, cost of living has gone up. So if that is the weather, how do you dress your money? What clothes do you put your money into? Where do you send your money? On what type of jobs do you send your money when the environment looks like that? The economic factors are the environment. So many people will keep asking, should I invest in real estate? What does the economic factor say? The economic factor says right now, it is not a buyer's market. Why? Because a majority of people cannot afford to take out credit to buy homes. So then do you invest in property? Do you sell your property right now? If you have cash, do you buy a property? All of these things help you in making those financial decisions. But also, financial confidence says you know where you want your money to go, which means that you've got financial goals. Those financial goals will tell you where you're supposed to be investing. If you sit across your financial planner will say, what do you want your money to do? What goals do you have? What do you want to achieve? Then we know exactly where to put your money. In fact, I was having a conversation right after the brunch with a friend, and she said, Nicolette, 5 years ago, I put money in an endowment policy, and I wanted it to be at least 500,000 because I needed to use that 500,000 to pay for transfer fees of the home that I want to buy, which I want to turn into a commercial property. But when her money came, it was not 500,000. It was less than that. Which means that the investment vehicle that she was put into did not speak to that goal. Could she have chosen a different investment vehicle? Possibly. But it meant that her financial planner needed to have that goal communicated to them. so that they could find the right investment vehicle to put her in, so that 5 years later, her money that she was contributing into that investment vehicle was going to give her the outcome that she was looking for. Goal-based investing shows that you are confident in your finances because you know exactly what you want your money to do. And goal-based investing tells you, Guti, if you want 500,000 in 5 years, how much are you supposed to be putting away now? And then you're like, okay, I need to be putting away a certain amount of money. Do you have that disposable income to be able to do that? No. Okay, that means I have to go and manage my debt. I have to manage my expenditure. I have to manage my living expenses every single month so that I can make room in my budget. But for me to be able to make room in my budget, it means I need to continue to budget every single month so that I know I am making the room or not. That's how it works. The third thing that goes with financial confidence is the trust that you are then going to put in the resources that you're going to use. Trust means that you don't panic at every single thing that happens in economic news. It means that you believe in the plan and the strategy that has been put in front of you. That does not mean that things don't change, but it means the goalposts don't change. It means the goalposts should not be changing. Investing in social impact. We talk about we want to invest in assets that are going to grow and they're going to create wealth for us. But what are those assets? If we're not building South Africa does not become a market that is conducive to building wealth. If unemployment stays this high, you need to now invest more money in putting up security at your home because crime has got a close relationship with unemployment in South Africa. We have seen that research has shown us that. So if crime goes high, it means you and me now need to take money away from investing, and we've got to invest in security for our homes, security for ourselves. Because we're not investing in the social impact in this country. What do I mean? I mean invest in businesses that are going to create jobs. Even if you're not starting the business, find a way to invest in those asset classes, those alternative asset classes that a majority of financial planners do not want to speak about, that contribute to the people, to the planet. Those are the things that are going to make sure that this country becomes a safer country. This country becomes an economic viability for even me and you to be able to build wealth. That's how it works. Without that, it means we're doing nothing. So it's important to invest in letting go of trauma. It's important to invest in financial education. It's important to invest in financial confidence. And last but not least, it's important to invest in social impact, because at the end of the day, all of these things come back to your finances. Thank you very much for listening to today's podcast of Yes, Money Does Matter. Please do not forget to tune in next week for more tips and strategies of how you can make sure that your money does matter. And do remember, nothing that is said on this podcast constitutes as financial advice. If you are, however, looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody who's certified and registered with the FSCA. I will see you guys on the next one.